We're in a time where every headline seems to be more alarming than the last. It is crucial that we as citizens remain vigilant, prepared, and ready to face whatever challenges may come our way. As survivalists, preppers, and concerned individuals, we have always understood the importance of being ready for anything, from natural disasters to economic collapses. However, recent revelations have shown us that the future may hold challenges far beyond what we've ever anticipated. This is an urgent message for all of you, a wake-up call, if you will, about the shocking plans that are set to change our country, our freedoms, and our very way of life. For months, we have been tirelessly investigating and verifying information about these unfolding developments. We have dug deep, questioned everything, and sifted through countless sources to bring you the most accurate picture of what lies ahead. The gravity of these changes is immense, and they promise to challenge everything we've been preparing for. The stakes are high, and it is our responsibility to rise to the occasion. The revelations we're about to share are bigger than any natural disaster or economic collapse we could have predicted. They represent a shift in the very fabric of our society, a change so profound it will touch every aspect of our lives. This is not a drill or mere speculation. This is based on hard evidence and concrete plans that we will reveal in the coming video. Now more than ever, it is vital that we approach this information with an open mind. It is natural to feel shock, disbelief, or even fear when faced with such monumental changes. However, let us remember that knowledge is power. By understanding what's coming, we can prepare and take action to protect ourselves, our families, and our communities. This video serves as a precursor to the shocking revelations we're about to unveil. We urge you to stay tuned, stay vigilant, and most importantly, stay prepared. The future may be uncertain, but together we can face whatever comes our way. Cloud 1. Resource-driven conflicts, the world as we know it is in a constant state of flux, shaped by various forces that play out on the global stage. Among these forces, one of the most powerful and recurrent themes is the struggle over natural resources. This struggle has often been at the heart of global conflicts, shaping the course of history and redefining geopolitical landscapes. At the core of recent turmoil in the Middle East is the driving force of natural resources, specifically oil and natural gas. These resources are not just commodities. They are the lifeblood of economies, the catalysts of power struggles, and the sparks that can ignite wars. The pattern is not new. It is written in the annals of history, visible in past conflicts, such as those that unfolded in 2001. Take the Gaza Strip, for instance. This tiny strip of land, often associated with political unrest and humanitarian crises, is sitting on a veritable gold mine of natural gas and oil. This makes it a significant player in the ongoing struggle for resource control, a pawn in a larger game of chess where the stakes are incredibly high. This struggle is not confined to the Middle East. Europe's insatiable need for these resources was recently highlighted by the Nord Stream pipeline incident. This contentious project, which sought to transport natural gas from Russia to Germany, underscored the lengths nations are willing to go to secure their energy needs. It also showcased the intricate web of alliances and rivalries that can be influenced by the flow of resources. The discovery of extensive natural gas and oil reserves in the Gaza Strip could potentially reshape the energy landscape and geopolitical dynamics of the region. It gives this small territory an outsized influence, making it a focal point in the power struggle between East and West. But what does this mean for the rest of the world? The implications are far-reaching, affecting global politics and economies in significant ways. This power struggle is not just about the price of gas at your local station. It can influence military actions, shape foreign policies, and impact regional stability. In a world increasingly dependent on fossil fuels, control over these resources can tip the scales of power. Understanding this dynamic is crucial in making sense of the world today. Behind the headlines of conflicts and crises often lies a deeper narrative, a narrative of resource-driven power struggles. These struggles are not confined to a single region or a specific period. They are woven into the fabric of our global society. They shape our world in ways that are both visible and hidden, overt and subtle. It is important to note that these resource-driven conflicts are not inevitable. They are the result of choices made by individuals, governments, and corporations. They reflect our values, our priorities, and our vision for the future. As such, they can be influenced, mitigated, or even prevented through informed decision-making, sustainable practices, and a commitment to peace and justice. By understanding the root causes of these conflicts and working towards solutions, we can pave the way for a more stable, equitable, and peaceful world. This is not an easy task, but it is one that we must undertake if we are to build a better future for ourselves and generations to come. 2, rising personal debts. In this second point, we aim to shine a light on a topic that is increasingly dominating headlines and conversations around the net. The looming specter of an economic downturn. The warning signs are there, flashing in neon lights for those who care to look, and they paint a picture of an economy teetering on the edge of a precipice. The recent search trends on Google have sparked discussions of an unsettling nature. Phrases such as can't pay credit card, can't sell house, and return my car have seen a dramatic surge, indicating that a significant number of people are feeling the financial squeeze. These searches are not just data points. They are cries for help from individuals struggling to keep their heads above water in an increasingly turbulent economic sea. For some time now, consumer spending has been the engine driving the U.S. economy. However, rising personal debts and mounting bills are threatening to throw a wrench into the gears of this engine. If consumers cut back on spending due to these pressures, one is left to want, well, we'll keep the economy afloat. A deeper dive into the data reveals an even more worrying trend. Personal debt interest payments have reached a staggering $500 billion. This mirrors the growth in national debt interest, creating a vicious cycle of borrowing and spending that seems unsustainable in the long run. These trends should serve as a wake-up call to all of us. The economic landscape is shifting beneath our feet, and the typical spending patterns that have sustained growth may not hold up under the strain. We must confront the reality that our economy is walking a tightrope, and it may only be a matter of time before it loses its balance. But what does this mean for the average American? It means uncertainty, struggle, and tough choices. It means having to stretch every dollar further, having to make do with less, and having to worry about the future. The Google search trends reflect this harsh reality. They are a testament to the struggles many are facing and the uncertainty that clouds their future. This is more than just a story of numbers and data. It is a story of real people with real lives facing real challenges. It is a story of a nation grappling with economic forces that threaten to upend its way of life. It is a story that needs to be told, and we intend to tell it. Free job cuts and the rise of machines. Now let's delve into a phenomenon that is rapidly transforming the economic landscape, a domino effect triggered by job cuts, labor strikes, and the rise of automation. This is not merely an economic issue. It's a human issue affecting lives, livelihoods, and the very fabric of our society. Major corporations like Stellantis and Continental Ag have recently announced massive job cuts affecting thousands of workers across different sectors. Stellantis, for instance, has offered buyouts to half its salaried workers. These layoffs are partly due to the economic strains brought on by recent events. However, they also reflect a deeper shift in the nature of work as automation becomes increasingly widespread and efficient. The auto industry in particular is seeing a significant reduction in traditional labor requirements. This shift towards automation is not without its consequences. As jobs become scarcer and living costs continue to soar, workers are increasingly resorting to strikes to demand fair wages. The United Auto Workers, for example, are demanding a 30% pay increase to keep up with the rising cost of living. Considering inflation rates have soared over 30% since 2020, some see this demand as quite reasonable. However, this situation presents a paradox. Higher wages incentivize further adoption of automation as robots don't require pay or go on strike. This leaves many workers in a precarious position, caught between the need for fair wages and the threat of being replaced by machines. It's a catch-22 situation. With no clear answers, the challenges posed by this domino effect are manifold. On one hand, we have innovation and progress driven by technological advancements and automation. On the other hand, we have jobs, livelihoods, and the dignity of work at stake. Striking the right balance between these conflicting demands will be key to shaping the workforce of the future. But the situation is complex. Influenced by a multitude of factors and devoid of easy solutions, this domino effect serves as a stark reminder of the shifting sands beneath our feet. The world of work as we know it is changing, and these changes are happening at an unprecedented pace. As we navigate this new landscape, it is crucial that we do so with a keen awareness of the potential pitfalls and challenges ahead. In the face of this upheaval, one thing is clear: The status quo is no longer sustainable. As we grapple with the issues of job cuts, labor strikes, and increasing automation, we must also confront the reality that our current economic model may be ill-suited to the demands of the future. 4. Financial challenges in modern America. The rising cost of living in the United States is a topic that is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. It's a reality that has permeated every corner of our lives, from the food we put on our tables to the cars we drive and the homes we live in. Thus, escalating cost of living, which is outpacing income growth for many, is causing significant financial strain for families across the nation. The current economic climate is causing real-life challenges, which we must find ways to adapt to. In this video, we will delve into this alarming trend and explore what it means for everyday Americans. Firstly, it's important to understand what exactly we mean by cost of living. Simply put, it refers to the amount of money needed to sustain a certain standard of living, including basic expenses such as housing, food, taxes, and healthcare. When these costs increase, it becomes more expensive to maintain the same standard of living. This is currently the situation facing many Americans who are finding that their incomes cannot keep up with the rising costs. One of the most prominent examples of this increase is seen in car insurance premiums. For the past 18 months, these have shot up by an astounding 80% in some states. For many families, owning a car isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Cars are often essential for getting to work, dropping kids off at school, or doing the weekly grocery shop. So when the cost of insuring a car takes such a drastic leap, it leaves families in a difficult position. Can they afford to keep their car and adjust their budget elsewhere? Or do they need to consider alternatives like public transport? And it's not just car insurance that's causing concern. The price of groceries is also on the rise. Essentials like bacon and snacks, which were once taken for granted in the family shopping cart, are experiencing noticeable price hikes. As a result, food choices are becoming more limited due to cost. This can have a significant impact on the quality of life and health of families. Nutritious, balanced meals may become harder to achieve with a tightened grocery budget, leading to potential long-term health implications. Moreover, the cost of car repairs has also seen an increase, up by 20% in the past year. This means that even maintaining a vehicle is becoming more costly. The combined effect of these rising costs means that Americans are facing a new economic reality. One where they have to make difficult decisions about what they can afford and what they have to give up. This worrying trend of rising living costs is not just a phase. It's a reflection of deeper economic issues that need to be addressed. The increasing gap between income and expenditure for many families indicates a disparity that could have serious implications for the future. Left unchecked, we could see a widening wealth gap, increased poverty rates, and decline in overall living standards. To adapt to this new reality, Americans are finding they need to be more strategic with their finances. This might mean cutting back on non-essential expenses, seeking additional sources of income, or downsizing to a smaller home or cheaper car. These are not easy decisions to make, and they underscore the severity of the situation. 5. Home Depot's resilience in challenging times. In the midst of challenging economic times, when big companies are often expected to struggle, Home Depot's story stands out as a testament to strategic adaptation and resilience. This home improvement giant has successfully pivoted its strategy, not just surviving the tough times, but thriving amidst them. In this video, we will delve into Home Depot's strategic pivot during these challenging times and explore how it managed to swim against the current and come out on top. During periods of economic downturn, consumers typically tighten their belts, resulting in an overall decline in sales across various sectors. This trend was observed across the board, with most big companies seeing a slump in their sales. However, Home Depot, a renowned home improvement supplies retail company, seemed to defy this trend and was actually performing better than expected. The question is, how did they manage to do this? The answer lies in understanding the shift in consumer behavior during such challenging times. When the economy takes a hit, it's natural for people to become more cautious with their spending. Fewer people were undertaking large renovation projects, a significant source of revenue for Home Depot under normal circumstances. Instead, consumers focused on smaller home improvement tasks. This was a direct result of people becoming more practical in their spending habits, focusing on essential or smaller scale projects that would not put a substantial dent in their wallets. Recognizing this shift in consumer behavior, Home Depot made a strategic decision. Rather than continuing to stock supplies primarily for large renovations, they adapted their inventory to cater to these smaller projects. This meant carrying more of the supplies that customers were now looking for, items for minor repairs, small-scale DI projects, and basic home maintenance tasks. This strategic shift was a significant one. It required not just recognizing the change in customer behavior, but also acting upon it promptly and effectively. It meant reevaluating their supply chain, adjusting their inventory, and even retraining their staff to better assist customers with these smaller projects. It was a substantial investment of time, effort, and resources, but one that paid off handsomely. Home Depot's ability to adapt and realign its strategy to the changing economic climate allowed it not just to weather the storm, but to thrive in it. Customers turned to Home Depot for their smaller project needs, bolstering the company's sales when most were seeing a decline. This strategic pivot was a testament to Home Depot's agility and customer-centric approach, proving that even in challenging times, success is possible with the right strategy. The story of Home Depot's strategic pivot is a powerful reminder of the importance of adaptability in business. It highlights how a deep understanding of consumer behavior, coupled with the willingness to adapt and evolve, can help businesses turn challenges into opportunities. However, it's also important to remember that such strategic shifts are not without risks. Changing a business model or strategy requires careful planning, thorough market research, and a deep understanding of consumer needs and habits. It's a delicate balancing act that requires businesses to be agile, yet considerate, innovative, yet grounded in data. Sixth grade, the inside story of cybertechs. In the modern, digitally driven world, cybersecurity has become a paramount concern for businesses and individuals alike. The increasing frequency and sophistication of cyber attacks are causing havoc across global industries, creating a crisis that demands immediate attention. However, the intrigue deepens when we consider that these cyber attacks hitting major corporations may not be entirely external threats. This video will delve into the complex and often murky waters of the cybersecurity crisis, highlighting some suspicious activities and their possible implications. One case that stands out in this regard involves a CEO who cashed out $25 million in shares just before their company was attacked. This sequence of events raises eyebrows and prompts questions about the nature of these attacks. Are they all external, or could some be internal or even orchestrated? While it's crucial to avoid jumping to conclusions without solid evidence, such instances do warrant thorough investigation. Your timing of the CEO cashing out his shares just before the cyber attack is, at the very least, suspicious. It implies a potential foreknowledge of the attack, which could point towards insider involvement or worse, corporate sabotage for personal gain. There have been other suspicious cases too, including attacks on Clorox and Johnson Controls, where a few individuals seem to benefit anomalously. In these situations, these cyber attacks conveniently resulted in the loss of data related to fines or settlements totaling over $20 and $3.06 million respectively. While these could be coincidental, the pattern of beneficial outcomes for certain individuals in the wake of these attacks certainly raises questions. The implications of such possibilities are far-reaching and deeply concerning. If individuals within corporations are exploiting the threat of cyber attacks for personal gain, it represents a profound betrayal of trust and a new low in corporate ethics. Moreover, it exacerbates the already significant challenge of managing cybersecurity threats and reinforces the urgent need for stringent security measures and robust internal audits. However, amidst this crisis, there's also a strange beneficiary: the cybersecurity industry itself. As cyber attacks reshape corporations, pushing them to upgrade their security infrastructure, the cybersecurity industry is booming. It grows exponentially each year, driven by the escalating demand for more advanced and effective security solutions. While this growth is a natural response to the rising threat of cyber attacks, it also raises questions about the dynamics at play. Is the fear of cyber attacks being exploited to drive profits in the cybersecurity industry? Could some corporations even be inflating or fabricating threats to justify increased spending on cybersecurity measures? And these are uncomfortable questions, but ones that need to be asked in the wake of suspicious activities linked to cyber attacks. In conclusion, the cybersecurity crisis we're facing today is not only about defending against external threats, it's also about navigating an increasingly complex internal landscape where the lines between victims and perpetrators can sometimes blur. This crisis demands a multifaceted response, one that doesn't just focus on building stronger firewalls, but also on fostering a culture of integrity, transparency, and accountability within organizations. 7, labor uprising. In recent times, we've witnessed an unprecedented surge in labor strikes across various sectors of the country. Workers pushed to their limits by stagnant wages and deteriorating working conditions are rising up to demand fair treatment and compensation. This wave of unrest is a powerful statement against a system that many believe is skewed towards the top 1%. It's a modern day David versus Goliath scenario with workers standing up against corporate giants. In this blog post, we will delve into the complex dynamics of these labor strikes and explore how they could potentially reshape the future of labor. The catalyst for these strikes is a combination of skyrocketing inflation and stagnating wages. As inflation continues to rise, the cost of basic necessities such as food and transportation has become prohibitively expensive for many. Meanwhile, wages have remained largely unchanged, creating a growing disparity between income and expenditure. For many workers, it's a case of enough is enough. They're demanding wage increases that keep pace with the rising cost of living. For instance, the United Auto Workers is pushing for a 30% pay raise, mirroring the over 30% increase in living costs since 2020. However, these strikes are about more than just wages. They're a broader protest against an economic system that many workers feel is heavily tilted in favor of corporations and the wealthy elite. This sentiment has been exacerbated by the distribution of the 2020 stimulus package, much of which ended up in the hands of corporations and banks rather than everyday people. This not only failed to provide the relief that many workers desperately needed, but also contributed to the inflation that is now making life increasingly unaffordable. These labor strikes represent a significant challenge to the status quo. And they're a call to action for better wages, improved working conditions, and a fair distribution of wealth. But perhaps most importantly, they're a demand for respect and recognition. Workers are standing up and asserting their value, demanding that they be treated as essential contributors to the economy rather than expendable resources. The ongoing strikes could have far-reaching implications for the future of labor. If successful, they could help shift the balance of power slightly back towards workers, challenging the dominance of corporations and potentially leading to more equitable labor practices. However, this is not a guaranteed outcome. Companies may be tempted to sidestep these demands by increasing automation and replacing human workers with robots. This could potentially lead to a whole new set of challenges, including job losses and increased inequality. Furthermore, the success of the strikes is not solely dependent on the actions of corporations. It also requires support from the wider public and lawmakers. The strikes need to translate it into broader social and political pressure for change, leading to policy reforms that protect workers' rights and promote fair labor practices. In conclusion, the wave of labor strikes sweeping across the country is a powerful expression of worker discontent and a call for change. It's a challenge to an economic system that many believe is skewed in favor of the wealthy at the expense of everyday workers. The outcome of these strikes could significantly shape the future of labor, either leading to more equitable labor practices or potentially driving an increase in automation. 8, bracing for jobless future. The automation revolution is not a distant concept of the future. It's happening right now, and it's reshaping the world as we know it. Companies around the globe are investing millions in robotics and artificial intelligence, preparing for a future where machines may replace human labor in many sectors. This shift towards automation presents a myriad of economic, social, and ethical challenges, including the potential for widespread job losses. In this blog post, we will delve into this impending reality and explore how we can prepare for a jobless future. The rise of automation is being driven by several factors. For companies, it's not just about cutting costs by reducing the need for human labor. It's also a strategic response to broader economic changes, such as the push for higher minimum wages. As labor costs increase, automation becomes an increasingly appealing option, offering the potential for greater efficiency and lower operating costs. Moreover, there are significant tax incentives for companies investing in automation. These incentives make it even more financially advantageous for companies to adopt robotic and AI technologies, further accelerating the shift towards automation. This is leading to a situation where more jobs are becoming automated and the demand for human labor is decreasing. The result could be significant job losses in traditional sectors, leading us towards a potentially jobless future. But what does a jobless future look like, and how should we be preparing for it? One of the key questions it raises is about retraining and upskilling. As traditional jobs become automated, there will be a need for workers to acquire new skills that align with the demands of a more technologically advanced economy. This could involve training in areas like data analysis, machine learning, and other tech-based skills. However, the pace at which automation is advancing may outstrip our ability to retrain workers, leading to a situation where there simply aren't enough jobs for everyone. It's another critical question. What a guaranteed income if there aren't enough jobs due to automation? One solution could be a universal basic income where everyone receives a certain amount of money from the government regardless of their employment status. While this idea has been gaining traction in recent years, it's not without controversy. Critics argue that it could discourage work and create a culture of dependency, while proponents see it as a necessary measure to ensure everyone can meet their basic needs in a jobless future. However, perhaps one of the most fundamental challenges of a jobless future is not economic, but existential. Work provides us with more than just income. It gives us a sense of purpose and a feeling of contributing to society. But with the rise of machines, our roles in the workforce may change drastically. We may need to rethink our notions of work and productivity and find new ways to derive meaning and purpose in a world where machines do much of the labor. In conclusion, the automation revolution is ushering us towards a potentially jobless future, presenting us with a host of complex challenges. From retraining and upskilling to the implementation of a universal basic income, we need to start preparing for these changes now. However, perhaps the most profound challenge will be finding new ways to derive meaning and purpose in a world where our traditional roles in the workforce are being drastically reshaped by machines. Line 9. The savings time bomb. In the current economic climate, American savings are dwindling at an alarming pace. The countdown to zero in American bank accounts has begun, and it's a ticking time bomb that could have far-reaching implications. Inflation, rising cost of living, and the use of savings to cover everyday expenses are among the significant factors contributing to this worrying trend. This blog post will delve into the various aspects of this issue and explore its potential long-term implications. The Federal Reserve's economic data paints a grim picture showing a consistent monthly drop in savings. If this trend continues, the average American could effectively hit zero savings in just 60 days after Christmas. This is not a scenario that anyone wants to contemplate, but it is one that we need to address urgently. One of the key factors driving this decline in savings is inflation. As prices rise, people's purchasing power decreases. This means they have to spend more to buy the same goods and services, leaving less money to save. The rising costs of living, particularly in areas like housing, healthcare, and education, are also a significant factor. These costs are growing much faster than wages, putting a strain on people's budgets and making it harder for them to save. The stimulus checks distributed during the pandemic may have provided a temporary boost to people's income, but they also played a role in driving up inflation. The increased spending power led to higher demand for goods and services, which in turn drove up prices. This has created a vicious cycle where people are not just failing to save, but actively using up their savings to cover their everyday expenses. This countdown to zero in American savings accounts raises serious questions about financial safety nets and how people will cope with unexpected expenses. Without savings, people are vulnerable to financial shocks such as job loss, medical emergencies, or major home repairs. They may be forced to rely on credit, which can lead to a spiral of debt that is difficult to. The long-term implications of this trend are also concerning. Savings are not just for emergencies. They are also crucial for long-term financial goals like buying a house, starting a business, or retiring comfortably. Without savings, these dreams may be out of reach for many Americans. Moreover, the decline in savings could have broader economic implications. Consumer spending is a key driver of the American economy. If people deplete their savings and cut back on spending, it could lead to slower economic growth. This could potentially lead to job losses and further financial hardship for many people. In conclusion, the countdown to zero in American savings accounts is a serious issue that requires urgent attention. It's a complex problem with multiple contributing factors, including inflation, rising costs of living, and the use of savings to cover everyday expenses. Addressing this issue will require a multifaceted approach, including policies to curb inflation and make essential goods and services more affordable, as well as financial education to help people manage their money more effectively. We also need to rethink our social safety nets to ensure that people have the support they need when they face financial difficulties. As we navigate this challenge, it's crucial that we keep the well-being of individuals and families at the heart of our efforts, working towards a future where everyone has the opportunity to save and achieve their financial goals.